Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm sharing no-nonsense advice for navigating dating and relationships with confidence and ease, whether you've been dating for a while or you're just getting started. I believe dating can be fun, and I'm here to help you enjoy the process. So this is the third installment of my new series, First Date Vibe Check, where I'm bringing on real podcast listeners to talk about a recent first date and break it down so that we can get like a very close-up look at how first dates actually go. Today, you're going to hear from Jenny. She's 27, she's in the UK, and she's dating to build confidence, gain experience, and figure out what she actually likes. She's not looking for a serious relationship right now. She's using an app called Breeze that you're going to hear a lot about. This is not sponsored, but Breeze, if you are listening and interested, I am so down because this app sounds really different in a good way. In this conversation, you're going to hear us break down a recent first date she had, and we'll talk about how the date got planned, what the date was like, and most importantly, what happened after. A big piece of dating intentionally is reflection, and I want to let you know that the app I've been developing for journaling and reflecting on dates is almost here. We will talk about it a bit in this episode, but in the app, you can answer a few questions after each date called a vibe check, so you can get clarity on your feelings and log what happened, which helps you stay grounded and make more aligned decisions. Jenny filled out a vibe check before we recorded, so you'll hear us go through her answers together. And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for being here. Jenny did not want to be on video for this episode, which is totally fine. I respect that. So just know that the rest of this video is going to be the audio only, and I have a little outro at the end. But if you want the video experience, come back next week. Next week's guest will also be on video. Last week's guest was on video. So I'm kind of just going with whatever people feel like. But yeah, just so you know that you will have the audio version of this, and it's still really great. All right, let's get into this first date vibe check with Jenny. Jenny, welcome to the Dating Intentionally podcast for our first date vibe check. How's it going?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, hot here in the UK, but can't complain about the sun too much.
Yeah, no, it's been hot everywhere. It's rough
Fair.
right now. And I mean, speaking of hot though, your dating life, you got a lot of dates going on.
I
So can you
do,
tell
yeah.
can you tell me and just listeners a little bit about what you're looking for in this season of life when it comes to dating? Like what's the goal?
So my goal is just to gain confidence going on dates, practice meeting people, and yeah, hopefully, I don't want to say, yeah, soon be ready to like go for a relationship. Not to say that I'm not open to having a relationship with someone I meet like immediately, but I think that's not my main goal at the moment.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think a lot of people listening, they do have the goal of dating for a relationship, but they encounter people who aren't. So can you just share a little bit more
hmm
about why you know right now you're just in a season of life where you're not like trying to get into a long term?
So I've never really been on dates before. I've not been in a relationship before. So yeah, that's why I just want to practice doing it in like a low stakes way and enjoy it. Yeah, not feel stressed going to dates.
Oh, I love it. Do you find that it's hard? Do you feel pressure at all to be dating for something more serious?
Not really, no. I feel like the people around me have either been in like really long-term relationships, years long, or aren't dating at all.
Okay.
Or like me, have been on like one or two dates, but aren't. Yeah, that's the environment I'm in. Yeah, my
Got
parents might
it.
say otherwise, but
I love your attitude. I love this approach. I love how honest you are with yourself right now. I think there's this idea that if you're dating, you have to date for something serious, but I believe that you don't. I mean, it can be just for learning and exploration and having fun. It's supposed to be fun. Okay, so what has your recent dating experience been like? Like, take us through just maybe this summer, this year
Mhm.
so far.
So yeah, this summer I downloaded Breeze and have used that, and yeah, been very successful with my matches, which was surprising but also nice. Yeah.
How do you define success with that?
So I think the first weekend I downloaded it. See, I remember this detailed, but I think I swiped 7 people, and from that had 4 matches. Then every time since I've been on the app and I've swiped yes, it's been a match immediately. So yeah,
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Nice. Well, what made you choose Breeze over Hinge or other apps? And in the UK, is Breeze like really popular?
I think it's getting popular. Yes, I do. Yeah, have quite a few friends using it. Yeah, what made me choose Breeze is that there's no chatting. You just get straight to the date. Yeah, I really like that part. I'm not a big texter in general.
Wow, for listeners who've never used an app like this, walk us through it. So you're swiping, you
Mhm.
match, then what happens?
Yeah, so if you swipe and you match, you have to like use a date token. So I think you can buy one, three, or six date tokens in like a package. And I've paid for the three package one, which I think is like works out at 8.50 a
Okay.
date. And then that includes your first drink as well,
Oh,
which is like pretty standard price in the UK. So yeah, you have to pay a token and then you have to fill in your availability. So it's just like a tick yes, no of what times you can make. And then the person you've matched with fills in their availability. And then I think it's always pretty much the first date you both match. The date is then planned. The app will then book the venue for you. So the people at the venue as well know that you're on a date and like, safety reasons and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so they book a venue and then 30 hours before you confirm that you're going. And then I think 4 hours before you also confirm when you're going. And that's when a chat opens up where you can message to
Oh,
say, I'm running late or I'm not. But yeah, 4 hours before is the
wow.
first time you can speak to the person.
That is really interesting.
A couple of hours after, the chat is still open and then it closes. And then the next day you can say, do you want to swap numbers? And you can say like, we
Okay.
already did, no or yes. And then if you both say yes, then you get their number.
Wow, that is, I've never used an app like that. I want to hear in the comments if you're listening, have you used Breeze? What's been your experience? Would you use this? You seem to like it though, Jenny.
Yeah, I like it. I think people are like, oh, but what happens if you get to the date and you really don't like them? But if I've spent energy texting them, then I've using that energy to go on the date. And it hasn't happened yet, but I feel like if I was having a really bad time, I wouldn't be afraid to be like, I'm not seeing you again. I'm going to go and drink my drink on my own. Having the people pay keeps the accountability. Yeah.
Oh, right, right, right. I heard of this app before and I kind of knew how it worked, but I didn't realize they like pre-book venues and then you show
Yeah.
up. And from what I understand, you're now on a date, but other people around you are also on Breeze dates.
Yes. One place I went to, there were 14 other breeze dates that day.
That's
Yeah.
so like what is that like? Like how does that feel?
So in that place, I felt like it was okay because it was really busy. That's not the date that we're talking about today.
So let's talk about your date with a man we're calling Steve, not his real name.
Hmm.
How old is Steve?
He is my age, 27.
Okay, great. And what did you like about his profile? Did anything stand out?
I liked that he had like some arty pics on there.
Like artsy pictures of him or pictures of art he made?
Artsy, like pictures of him, like him in front of
Okay.
art. Was one of
Okay, cool,
them.
cool.
Yeah. I felt I hadn't matched
Nice.
with someone that like had that as an interest, which is also one of my interests.
Okay, great, great. And so you match with Steve, and then did you guys chat in that 4 hour period before your date?
I think he might have said like, "Hey, how's your day gone?" Which I just find pretty pointless, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to reply to that. Um,
You didn't
I
reply?
don't think so. I can maybe check. And then he also messaged to say his train was running late, so he'd be late.
Okay. So
But
basically,
that
your
was it.
chat looked like him saying, "Hey, how's your day going?" You nothing, and then, "Hey, I'm running late."
I think so. I'll need to check. Let me see if I can
Okay,
find it,
let's
if that's all
confirm.
right.
Just that's actually so funny.
He said, "How's your day going?" I said, "Good, thanks. Looking forward to seeing you later." That was it. I felt like we didn't need to have an extended
Yeah.
conversation.
If you didn't reply, I guess I'm like thinking, playing this out of my head of if you're confirming a date, you already paid for the drink, but you don't respond in the chat. I guess it could still mean you're on. It doesn't mean that you're off.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And I think if someone doesn't turn up, you get your date token back.
Okay.
And
That
then I
makes
think you
sense.
also get banned from the app. They're really strict on that.
If you do, oh, if you stand
Yeah,
someone
like
up.
I had
Oh, I love
someone that like
that.
didn't fill in the details, and again they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we've banned them." because
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
that's their business
honestly,
model and everything.
yeah, that makes so much sense. I like that. It's like we don't tolerate standing people up. You just can't do that. Okay. So, okay, you were just telling us how you got to the venue before. So tell us what happened when you walked into
Hmm.
this Breeze date venue.
Yeah, so I'd never been to the venue before, and I just walked in, and it was like empty. As I said, this is like 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, so shouldn't be empty. Yeah, and then I walked up to the bar, and yeah, there was a girl there that just been on a bad breeze date. So I was like, "Don't worry, it's okay." But it was actually really funny because she'd matched with someone that I'd also been on a date with, and that was a bad date I had. Um,
Oh no.
so, but I was like, "Don't give up. I've had some really good experiences." So I was chatting to her. Yeah, I was chatting to the barman, and just like there were just white walls. There's just like no atmosphere. I can't remember if there was, yeah, they said there was like a private event later on in the evening. But yeah, I
Interesting.
just knew that like there wasn't anything to like bounce off in the venue, if that makes sense, or like make conversation off. And I feel like I just knew like I don't want to have a date here.
Yeah. Okay. And then at this point, what is your mindset going into this date? Like, what are you feeling in the moment before Steve arrives?
So I think at this point I'd been on a couple of dates. One I'd had a second date with, one I would have seen more, but he was moving, and then one was just a bad date. Um, so I
Standard.
think, um, what was I looking for? I think I probably actually didn't really have a plan. I was just going in to find out if we could have a good conversation, and
Love it.
if one thing I want is someone to like have hobbies and have interests. Like I don't want someone that just like goes to work and comes home. Like that's a
Mm.
bit boring to me. So yeah.
Hmm. I know when we were talking offline, you're like, I have plans every evening. And I'm like,
Yeah.
good for you. So that's great. I get it. Okay, so you're just like, I hope we can have a good conversation. You are definitely looking for someone who has interests that they pursue outside of work, which I think a lot of listeners can relate to that. Like, if work is just your life, it's not the most attractive quality. So, Jenny, take us to the moment where you saw Steve walk in the door. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I think I like we had a hug and he was like, I'm a hugger. And again, I think that's quite a normal greeting in the UK. Like if I was greeting a friend, I would hug them. And then I kind of like immediately went into I want to go somewhere else. Um, I didn't really ask him. I was just like, we're going to go somewhere else. So, yeah, I felt like that was my first impression of him. Yeah.
Do you think he was cute in person, good looking?
Yeah.
Do you like his
Yeah, I felt like,
clothing?
yeah,
Any
his
thoughts?
his like face matched his profile, which I suppose is always
Good.
good.
Not a
Yeah.
catfish. We love it.
No. That's another thing you can rate your date on Breeze afterwards. They don't see it. The map says
Wow.
like, yeah, their profile matches. You rate the venue as well and can give comments. Sorry, sidetracking. But yes, I felt like more afterwards did I like fully realize it, but I probably clocked it at the beginning was like we had a similar dress sense in terms of like formality.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I don't think I had any like bad thoughts.
Good. I don't know. Some people really care about this stuff and some people don't. Personally, for me, when a guy on a date showed up in like sporty like Tivas or like Chacos, which is like kind of something you'd hike in maybe, or I don't know, but they're like sandals. Like that never really fazed me. I'm like, whatever. I was in Seattle, it doesn't matter. Like
Hmm.
so I don't know. I feel like you're in a city, right? I feel like people like dress
Yeah.
probably better than. Um, okay. So you take your drinks to go, and then what's your next move here? Like, are you guys just walking around? Are you going to another venue?
So I suggested we like take a walk. He didn't know the city that we were in, and I do a bit, but I'm not like great. So yeah, we walked in like a general vague direction. I was like, let's head here. And on the way there, we came across this like seating area that had bean bags, and I was like, why don't we just stay here to finish our drinks? So yeah, we did that. So that was like we were kind of sort of like lying next to each other on these bean bags, and like that sounds like it was really, but no. I feel like our legs were like slightly touching, but not in like a weird way. Like that touch
Yeah, yeah.
barrier was broken. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you already hugged, so that's like
Yeah.
initial touch barrier breaking, and then yeah, sitting close to each other with your legs brushing is pretty like standard.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of people lying on beanbag chairs on a first date. I love this.
I don't know if you like have them in America, but they're quite often like
No,
public
like they're
spots just
around.
with deck chairs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we kind of went
yeah,
to one
no,
of
I
those.
know what you mean. Okay, so what are you talking about at this point? Like you just flop down in your beanbag chairs. You're
Hmm.
drinking these drinks to go. What is the conversation like?
So I think we talked about our jobs. Yeah, I think some of our hobbies.
Did he pass the hobby check? Like what was going on there?
I'm not sure. I feel like I need to speak to him again. He was surprised when I was like, oh yeah, sometimes I like stop in the park after work to read my book. And he was like, what? When I'm at work, I can't wait to get home. So
Did you talk
yeah.
about your hobbies mostly then?
Yeah, a bit. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, as I said, that's why I want to find out a bit more. Yeah, I think he goes to the gym. Yeah, we
Okay.
also talked about what he did that day. Yeah, because I feel like that's a good marker. What you do with your weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Right. This was a Saturday. So
Yeah.
was there anything that stood out to you of like, oh, I'm more curious about that, or like, oh, this is not the vibe?
He like went to the gym, cleaned, watched a film. We chatted about films a bit, and I was like, yeah, I don't really branch out in my film watching. So I think films is like a hobby of his as well. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, I had you fill out a vibe check in
Hmm.
the date tracker, and you checked it off that you had okay time and that you saw green flags. You checked off that they asked me questions. I felt safe and relaxed. I'm curious to get to know them more. And we had physical intimacy, like a hug, which you mentioned. So tell me about the green flags that you saw here.
Yeah, I probably also more meant that in terms of I didn't see any red flags. I think that's partly because I like haven't like I've bought your values course that I've not
Yeah,
actually done yet because I'm just more like dating for confidence and getting to know people. I feel like I've
fair.
not got a list of criteria. So yeah, I feel like the green flags is like a bit of the hobbies, but not loads. Yeah, and a green flag like we could hold a conversation and yeah, the
Okay.
conversation flowed. Yeah.
I'm so curious to hear from other listeners in the comments. Is the absence of red flags a green flag? Like I don't know. I part of me is like I get that line of thinking. Like I totally get that assessment of someone, but I'm curious to hear what other people think on that because sometimes they're just it can just be middle of the road. Like nothing that really stands out, but either way, right? Like they didn't do anything
Yeah.
or disrespectful or weird or like alarming, or they're not saying things like they're not nagging you or whatever, but then maybe they're also just like middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He like we talked quite a lot about finances and like I'm not
Wait,
quite sure how I felt about that.
like
Yeah.
how much you each make?
No, just like in kind of more general terms a bit. But like, yeah, I wouldn't want to necessarily like discuss the full topic here, but I'm interested to find out more about his attitude to money and stuff. So that was like kind of like an amber.
Interesting. I mean, I keep hearing you say I need to know more, I need to know more, and I do like hearing
Mm,
that. I think that's something I want to highlight because I think a lot of people in early dating, it's like you want to make these snap judgments about someone off of a 2 hour experience of them, like a sliver, of time, and you can't. Sometimes just like I don't know, and that's okay. It's
hmm.
totally okay. So you also wrote down that you felt safe and relaxed. I know you have had like just kind of more recent dating experiences, but have you usually felt safe and relaxed on dates?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
mostly.
good.
I feel like, yeah, no, I'm not someone that like also gets nervous like walking around at night on my own. And yeah, I think the fact that, yeah, the venue knows that you're on the date as well.
Okay. And then did you end up going somewhere else? Like you're on these beanbag chairs. So where'd you go next?
Yes. So they were like, we're tidying up now. So they took the
They're like,
beanbag
go
away.
away.
Yeah. Um, so then we went to this bar, which I'd been to before as well, had another drink there. And that's where we like, yeah, the sort of finance topic came up. And then they kicked us out of there. That sounds like we're here really late. I think it closed at 11. And bearing in
Okay.
mind we
Okay.
kind of met at more like what, like 20 past 8. So
Yeah.
anyway, then I said, what time's your train? because he was getting the train home, and it was quite soon. So we then just ended up going to a bar in the train station, and there was like a bit of a rush, like awkward ending, but yeah.
Did you end up having a drink at the bar in the train station?
Yeah, so so the venue, the drinks choices were quite limited because you've paid for the app. It's like only certain drinks you have. So we had, I think, rum and coke. So then I had another rum and coke at the venue, and then I didn't want like a glass of wine or a different spirit or a beer after the rum and coke, and I was like, I don't want any more
Fair.
rum and cokes. So I actually had a cup of tea because that was what I
Fantastic
wanted.
choice.
So I had it. And I think he had a pina colada. So yeah, that was what we had at a train station bar. Yeah.
Wow, that's like a pretty long date with 3 locations. I find that a date that travels, it kind of boosts the chemistry a little bit. Did you feel that way?
Mm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like when we were walking to the venue, like he was like, "Why are you holding your hands behind your back?" So we like held hands. Yeah. And then yeah, all of these places are probably like within 10 minutes of each other though. So yeah,
Right.
we're not walking crazy distances.
No, that's I mean, when you're in a city, that's easy, right? You're just bar hopping essentially, or you're
Hmm.
beanbag to bar hopping. You
Yeah.
know? Okay. So how do you feel about like kind of a spontaneous date? Like this date didn't really have a plan. Like you, or I guess you could have stayed at the Breeze initial spot
Mm.
if it was better vibes. But how do you feel about like just kind of a let's just see where it goes kind of date?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm someone
Yeah.
that's not like, yeah, I can do that. I think, yeah, if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not afraid to say.
Yeah, why not? Did he pay for the drinks? What's going on there?
I can't remember. I
Okay.
think he might have paid. I think I probably offered as well. I don't mind paying for a
Yeah,
drink, like if you take
you
it
don't
in
mind.
turns, if you're having rounds. Yeah.
Okay, so this sounds like overall, would you call this a good date? What would you call this?
Yeah, I would call it a good day. I think it met my sort of goals of like getting to know a person, going on dates. Yeah.
Great. So we're wrapping up here at the train station. Okay, you just had your tea. He's just had his pina colada. His
Yeah.
train soon. How does this date end?
Yeah, so we probably only had like 15 minutes in this place. So yeah, I remember like we sat down and I initially sat down opposite him. He was like, "Why are you sitting so far away from me?" So he like pulled my chair like closer to him. So we were more like side on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, side by side.
And
Yep.
then how does it end? Yeah, I feel like we had like a small kiss that like I don't think it wasn't great, but I feel like he felt way more awkward than I did because he was like,
Why do you
"Oh, I'll
feel
just give you a
why?
hug." Well, because afterwards he texted me saying that was an awkward ending. Sorry, I ran off, which he did kind of do.
You hugged and then kissed and he ran away?
No, we kissed. It was like not the best kiss you've ever had. Then we hugged and then he left. Yeah.
Okay. Look, I think it's rare to have a really amazing ending to a first date with a
Hmm.
stranger that you had exchanged one message with also before you like I think it's really rare. I think in my experience, like I've had over 60 first dates in that one period I was dating, and most of the endings were just kind of more awkward than they were amazing.
Mm.
I can remember one time the kiss was like, oh, that was like a really surprisingly good kiss. Just one time.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I said to him when he said to me, "Sorry, I ran away." I said, I think it's always going to be weird meeting someone for the first time. So yeah, I feel like we're on the same page there, which is
Okay.
good.
Okay, great. So when did you exchange numbers in this whole process?
So yeah, the next day on the app, I said, yes, I'll swap numbers. We didn't do it then. I think because I assumed that he's also been on Breeze before and knows
Mhm.
that you like have the option the next day. I feel like that's less awkward than like standing there being like, "What's this?" And yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's smooth. Yeah, and then
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
he texted first.
Great. Well, what were your feelings right after the date? Like he goes on his train and you're kind of heading home. How do you feel
Yeah,
in your body?
I was surprised that it lasted so long. Yeah, because it didn't feel as long as it was. I think also partly because he was late. Yeah. And I thought, yeah, I feel like the no red flags, green flags situation. Like there was nothing that I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I think I remember thinking the next day, yes, I'll swap numbers, but I won't reach out first. I'll see if he wants to reach out because of that fact.
You're not the first person on this series to say that. Like, we had a guest on, Savannah, who said the same thing, after like kind of a solid date, but she was like, I'm going to see if he reaches out first, though. What would have had to happen for you to want to reach out first?
Maybe if he'd had like really good hobbies, yeah, I don't know, just had like something was like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. I want to learn more. Maybe if the
Right.
chat hadn't been quite so financially based. And I think also I had two other matches on Breeze at the time. So I knew I had
Hmm.
first dates coming up. And I was like, oh, actually, I'm quite busy.
Oh, I
When am
see.
I
I
going to
see.
fit all of this in?
That's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Like sometimes you do have to, or sometimes people do stall connections a little bit to
Mm,
space dates out because they are either really slammed in other parts of life or because they have other dates. And yeah,
yeah.
I've been on the receiving end of that, and I've been the person who does that too. So yeah, that's interesting. So did he get in touch? He did
He
text you.
did. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
What has happened since? Is date two happening? Has it happened?
So yeah, it was meant to happen tomorrow, but I had to cancel. So hopefully it's going to happen on Sunday. Yeah.
Okay. What's the texting like since? How has it been since then?
So yeah, there has been some texting. I'm not a big texter, but yeah, commenting a bit. Also, I'm like, trying to get out what was his plans, kind of thing, like what's he been doing. But we've actually mainly been discussing my plans because like I saw my sister and stuff. Yeah, but I think because I'm not a big texter, I'm not like super conscious of it. Yeah, maybe that's
Yeah.
something I also need to think about is like, right, what do I want in in terms of texting? Yeah.
Yeah. I think in terms of all of this, it's like, what do I want? What do I like? And dating is a
Mm,
really good way to like doing it is a good way to figure it out. Like it's kind of like
yeah,
trying different
exactly.
workouts. It's like you don't know if you're going to hate or love running until you try it, or Pilates or whatever. It's like you got to just go do it. Okay. I really appreciate everything that you've been sharing with us. Like, this is so interesting to see just this inside look in a first date. What's something that you got out of this experience other than a new connection with Steve?
I was thinking about this. And it's probably like the texting between dates. Because I went on a second date, but that texting was very like, let's just plan the next date. That was pretty
Hmm.
much it. I feel like I gave pointers where like the conversation could have expanded past planning the
Yes.
date, but he didn't pick up on that. So yeah, it's probably probably been replying to texts regularly. Yeah.
Seems like you're maybe enjoying that a little bit more than you thought.
I think a bit. I don't know. I think I probably kind of want to carry on the connection, not necessarily
Yeah.
like start again. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. How was it to fill out the date tracker?
Yes, it was really good. I first did like reflective essays at university, and now we have like reflective sessions in my job as well. So I am like quite used to doing that and do think it's really valuable. Like, sounds bad, like way of working. But
I think
yeah,
that
so I
sounds
think
good.
especially in like the like my dating exploratory mindset at the moment, it is really useful to have a set of questions that are the same every time. And yeah, you can
Yeah.
just do quickly. Yeah.
Great. Love it. I mean, I think reflection in all parts of life is really helpful because otherwise it's like we experience things, but then it's not landing the same way.
Mm,
Like it's not processed the same way. I don't know.
yeah. And I think even if something goes well, why did it go well? So that you can do it next
Right.
time.
So true. So is there anything that you're struggling with in dating in general in this exploratory phase that you like my advice on?
Yeah. So I would love to know like how do you bring up the like deeper topics without it being awkward?
Ooh. So I think on a first date, it's not necessarily the time to bring up deeper topics. I think like a first, like
Hmm.
my ideal situation for everyone listening on a first date. It's like you're kind of sampling different topics and you're just kind of like touching topics to see where you have things in common, where there's excitement, like, oh, like let's, yeah, like I'm into this nerdy thing, and like just like kind of sampling everything. And then for the next date, you can go deeper. So it's
Mhm.
like, don't worry about getting too deep on the first date because I think it can be a little jarring for some people.
Yeah.
It's like, I just met you. I'm just getting used to your voice. Like.
Mhm.
Um, but in terms of getting deeper later on, I think the classic, like asking why, or like, why did you do that? Or like, what did it mean for you to do that? Or like, if they're like, why do you like this? Like, what do you get out of this? Those kinds of like questions that are just open ended is a really, I think, basic way for even for friends, like friendships. Friends should be
Mhm.
asking each other these questions too, for
Yeah.
exploring depth. And I also think that depth doesn't necessarily mean like intensity and heavy topics. Like sometimes depth can just
Mm.
be joyful and like, even talking about the future, things that are exciting to them can be a deep conversation too. And why, you know? So there's just
Mhm.
that's like where I'd start. It's just those like kind of like open ended, like, why do you like the job that you do? Or like, what do you hope to do? Stuff and why. Does that
Mhm.
answer your question?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And like bringing up like what are you looking for in a relationship? I mean,
Oh
do you
yeah,
literally
that.
just say that or
Yeah, I noticed you didn't check that on your date tracker. So, but I also think it's like, since you are not seriously looking for a relationship right now, I think it's okay. But for the people who
mm,
are, I usually do say on the first date to just ask, or just be like, what are you hoping to get out of dating right now? Basically, what I asked you at the top of this
yeah.
episode. It's like, what are you looking for right now? And you have to take it with a grain of salt because people will say they're ready, but they're not when you
Mhm.
actually go for it and find out. So I think, yeah, like in terms of relationship intentions, I think just asking straight up. Just, you're on a date, you're allowed to talk about dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm excited to hear how things go with Steve. My last question for you is, do you have any advice for anyone who is starting to date right now, maybe in an exploratory phase like you?
I think, yeah, going through your Instagram has been really good and just, yeah, have like no expectations. Like I remember the first date I went on in ages, I was like, yeah, I don't feel nervous about going into this at all, which I thought I might be, but I was like, this will just be having a conversation. Um, yeah.
Yeah, no expectations. I think that's a great thing to remember, especially for a first date, especially
Hmm.
because you really just never know what you're going to get. Even if you think you've
Yeah,
done the vetting and you've looked at their
I haven't.
profile, you've
So,
dissected every word. Yeah, you haven't. You're not. I'm just so excited for you and to see how this unfolds for you this year. It's awesome. Well, Jenny, thank you so, so much for joining me today and for sharing your first date with us.
thank you very much for having me. Yeah, look forward to using the date tracker.
Okay, so this connection is still unfolding. Like Jenny and I only talked about this first date recently. And as of when we recorded, Jenny and this guy, Steve, had a second date on the calendar. And we didn't touch on this in the conversation, but I want to call out that from what Jenny shared with me offline, these two did not talk about their intentions. And I want to say that it's okay to date if you're not looking for anything serious, but ideally you're upfront so that everyone knows what page you're on, and hopefully they're upfront about what they're looking for too. And also, I want to hear from you on two things in the comments. Have you used Breeze or any kind of app that works like it? And is the absence of red flags a green flag? Drop it in the comments. I really want to know. As always, I love hearing from you. And since this is a brand new series, tell me your thoughts for future episodes. I really want to hear your feedback because this is so new. And I want to make sure that I'm getting into the questions and topics that you'd actually be curious to hear from our guests. So you can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally or email me at talia@datingintentionallypod@gmail.com. If you want to apply to be on First Date Vibe Check, if you're actively dating, the link is in the show notes. We will do more of these as feedback comes in, but I do plan on doing more. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for trusting me. Don't forget, you're doing great. And if you know someone who is navigating dating and could use a little confidence boost, inspiration, or fresh perspective, share this episode with them. And if this podcast has helped you, a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify goes a long way. Once again, I'm Talia. This is Dating Intentionally, and I'll see you next time.